Right, signs of a failing or just about to fail alternator. Well, the forward focus 1.5 TDCI, that's the alternator down there. What's the signs? Yesterday I was driving and as I turned the corner I felt a juddering in the steering, like it became very stiff, and next thing you know, completely no power steering. Was there any warning signs? Were there any? Yeah, I felt a slight little bit of a judder once or twice the week before and then the day before. So telltale signs. If you feel slight juddering when you're driving and you've got those power steering that's powered by electrical motors like I've got on here, as soon as you feel that juddering, go get your voltmeter or multimeter and test out the voltage. So I wonder what it is. When I left it this morning, it was 11 volts and it wouldn't start. I had this on me, wouldn't start at 11, so it'd be less than that. I probably think about 10.5. So just going to rest that on there. I don't know actually. 11.51. It's not enough voltage to start. This is not enough voltage. 11.51 is not enough voltage to start the car. So it didn't lose hardly any voltage. I had it at 11 something, so it's got a big capacity in it. What I'm going to do is take it out and charge it separately, and then I can drive it into my driveway. Otherwise, I won't be able to drive it in my driveway. No power steering. And then obviously I'm going to jack it up and find a suitable spare part. I'm just going to eyeball this one now. See what it looks like. It's held on by 2 bolts at the top. Okay. The cabling is down there, you can just see it. When that kind of flexi pipe heads down. Right, so it's been charging for about 5 hours. I'm hoping for something over 13 volts. So let's disconnect these opposite ways. Oh, should be that one first. Like that. Let's test it. Don't know if you can see that. Stand out. Hopefully you can see that. Let's focus on the numbers. I'll just attach them up. It doesn't matter, positive or negative. 12.64. So that's kind of normal, 12.64. Remember that number. We'll see if the alternator chucks anything out. Like 14 volts when it's running. If it's anything, if it stays 12.64, you know it's the alternator. That's the key. Let's unplug this. We don't want to set any sparks on fire or anything. Put it this way. Right. It's a bit. I know it's a bit dark, but I just want to show you this. On the negative terminal, it's quite a complicated setup there. So when you take these things apart, always take it away. Take the negative terminal off that point there first. So that little box there is quite a complicated thing. Don't start charging it from. Don't start sticking in a charger there. That's why that is over here. You would charge it if the battery is in the car. I'll charge it from here and here. Don't go anywhere near that with the charger, with a trickle charger. Right, it's very dark. My battery in my torch is very low. I'm just going to install. Right, so I've got the car back into the slot, my parking bay. So the power steering was already starting to go due to the lack of voltage generated by the alternator. See why I'm putting this on there, it's vibrating like mad. I'm going to do this quick before I run out of juice. I just have to bring it up. I just have to tell you. Right, that's what it is. What's the voltage? Look, 10.1 10.48. Shine my light on it. 10.48, so the alternator's gone. So I've only got very few. I'm basically sucking up all the voltage with my lights and everything. So basically, if I well, you've just seen it, 10.4 something volts, used up all my voltage. Just about, the alternator is not producing anything at all. The car is behaving a little bit better than it was, because there is, if I measure it now, it's probably something like 12.3. I'll measure it quickly. So I just have to tell you straight off by reading it out. 11.3. So that's already, if I was to try and start the motor now, it's not going to start. I've used up my voltage in the battery. Anyway, that's it. That's the video done. Now I know that I have to change the alternator. Next video in this will be to change the alternator. Right, I thought I'll end this video in the broad daylight rather than in the dark. Much better. Anyway, I'm going to do a summary. Now, the point of this video is to help you to detect when your alternator, that's the part of the car that is driven by one of the drive belts from the engine, and it produces electricity to power the rest of the vehicle and also to charge up your battery. So in modern cars, one of the ways you will tell when your alternator is going or is about to go is if you every day check the when the car's running with a multimeter and you're getting about 14 volts, which is possible that you might do, but most people are not, nor am I going to do that. So how are you going to tell? In a modern car, modern cars, quite often they have electrically driven power steering, one on each side, one in each for each wheel on the front. Now what happens is when your alternator dies, you will get, or is dying, you will get juddering when you're steering. So suddenly you'll be smooth as anything, suddenly it won't move very much and then it will go back to normal. So that's kind of telling you it's on its way out. At that point, quickly, do not hesitate. Don't do what I did and wait until it completely failed. Check these two terminals here for voltage. As the car is still like it is now, it's probably, at the moment, it's probably about 11.2 volts because it's dropped a bit. Or you can run the engine, and if it's like 14, you're okay. If it's like exactly the same, or it's even less, like 10.5 with a car running, you've got an issue, right? So it only takes probably 24 hours for it to completely fail from your little bit of indication. Now, the difference is with my Honda, that's the power steering is not driven that way by electrical motors. It's the old-fashioned hydraulic system, right? So you will not get that kind of warning. What you will do in an older car, say 2006 and below in age, what you'll find is, as you're running the car, if the alternator is failing or failed and it's not producing the voltage to charge up the battery and the rest of the vehicle, what happens is things like your lights, your front lights, your main beam will start to dim quite a lot, and it will drop, and then it'll kind of gradually go, so you get a bit more of a warning, and then your car won't start. Okay, at that point your battery will be dead flat. You know, it'll be like down to like 9 volts or so when it drains that. If you've got one of these modern cars and the power steering goes, I still had 11 and a half volts in there. Now you saw it took 5 hours on a trickle charge to charge it. I wasn't even sure it's completely charged, but I took 5 hours, 5+ hours. Then I cranked it and it worked, because before that nothing would work, wouldn't crank. So 12.6 volts after 5 hours charge, there was enough juice in there to crank up the engine, have the lights on because it was at night, drive into my driveway. That was only a space of 20 feet. I drove backwards, 20 feet forwards, turned, and the steering was already going, right? Because it looks like the electrical power steering needs a lot of fresh ampage from the alternator. The battery itself won't do. But so let's just end this video by testing the voltage. Now I'm going to guess it's something like below 11.5 volts. It's going to be below. Okay, it's gone up to 11.8, maybe because it's picked up in temperature, so it might crank for me, but I doubt it. It needs to be above probably 12.4 volts to crank properly. It might. So there's no point in cranking it. I'm going to save the electricity in it to run, all the rest of the car, like the lights, the door locks, the alarm, etc. Right. So I'm just waiting for my spare part, the alternator, to come now, and I've decided to pick an old used one that's 50,000 miles. So I know now that the standard alternator for the Ford Focus 2015 TDCI is 200,000 miles. This car's done 200,000. 200,000 alternator. If the bearings don't fail, the brushes will fail, and that being another video, another video, because I'll try it. I don't know if I'll be able to get new brushes on there, but I will. Next video, hopefully, to do this problem will be to try and install the 50,000 mile used alternator. All right, thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Don't forget what I said. Pull it into a garage if you don't know what you're doing, but you need to pull up, because you don't want to be stuck in the middle of the road. I spent about 14 hours sitting in a car. 1 hour walking, another hour walking because I hurt my leg trying to push the car. 1 hour sleep. My son spent 6 hours with me freezing at night because the rescue team did not arrive at all the next morning.